Hey guys, Brian here. Welcome back to Soul Speak Visions. I don't know if you noticed, I haven't really released any content lately. That is because I was actually on vacation, or rather a vacation of sorts, because I went to Jekyll Island, Georgia for my first marathon experience. And let me tell you guys, Jekyll Island, Georgia is a beautiful place. I had never been. It's down on the coast of Georgia, sort of going towards Florida. And, it it has a very prominent sort of cultural imprint embedded in sort of everything, from the architecture, from, the historical sort of feeling that you get, as well as the, natural beauty of the beaches and all the various trails and all the it's just a good vibe. It's a cool place, It's not like a flashy beach, it's not like a super touristy place. It's just there's a gentle sort of calm in the air that made my Jekyll Island experience, a really good experience. But no, it wasn't just a vacation. It was sort of more of a mission because like I said, I completed my first marathon, the Jekyll Island Marathon, this past Sunday. Um, this video is a little bit about my marathon experience. I completed this marathon with my father and my stepmother, and if you didn't know, I've been long distance running now for about 9 or 10 months. I consider this a staple in my life, and an implement to my life that has helped me overcome a lot of anxiety and stress, as well as just providing me a new passion. I view running as sort of a creative act in its own way, and an act of, growing and progressing, and, it's a very healthy thing in my life. So I made the decision a few months ago to do the Jekyll Island Marathon. And leading up to this marathon, guys, I'm going to be completely honest. I was pretty scared. I was pretty nervous. It was just nerve-wracking thinking that, you're going to be thrown to this daunting 26.2 miles, the marathon, you know, it's the ultimate. I had completed races comparable to a marathon and practice runs. I had run 24 miles before and 20 miles a few times, a few half marathons as well, and 15 milers. But this was a new experience, and I'm going to tell you about it. The morning of the marathon, well, the night before, I slept kind of okay, about 4 or 5 hours, which, for me, that's doable. I tend to average 6 or 7, but what can you do? Any sleep is better than no sleep. Um, but no, I had a hard time going to bed because it was like, Christmas morning or something. I was totally excited, nervous. There was a lot of energy inside of me that, was going to be released in the marathon. Um, and what this marathon is, guys, this marathon is a process, and it's a beautiful process of pain and learning and progressing and reassuring yourself that you are as strong as you allow yourself to be, and reasserting yourself in that sort of strength and that sort of courageous act of pushing yourself to your own limits. And this was very much an emotional and spiritual experience. Okay, so the race itself, starting off, I felt really good about it. I had positive vibes going on. I was feeling good, a little nervous, but, I had been through the race jitters, the pre-race jitters beforehand, and other races, so I kind of knew what to expect. This wasn't a huge race, a few hundred people. Anyway, the race started really good. I was moving at a good pace. I was running the race with my father. who's an accomplished marathon runner. The rate, it was good for the first, I'd say 7 or 8 miles. I was moving at a good pace. I was, walking when I needed to walk. I was sticking to the program, sticking to the plan. Overall, it was a good experience through the first 7 or 8 miles. At one point, though, something changed, and this sort of created the physical sensation of feeling hot, feeling overheated, which is a little bit silly considering it was in the upper 40s or possibly lower 50s, because like I said, it's on the coast. But the issue was not so much the temperature as was the humidity in the air, as well as the fact that there wasn't a cloud in sight and the sun was beaming down on me. And I'm one of those people, I'm naturally prone, I have an natural inclination to sort of get overheated and sweat a lot. This caused me to kind of feel lightheaded and to want to take in more fluids, which I did. And things went pretty south from there for a little while. I began doubting myself. I began talking down to myself. I began really questioning if I really wanted to do this, if I wanted to complete a marathon, if I had what it took to complete a marathon. Needless to say, I did overcome this, because I wouldn't be making this video if I just quit. But it took a few miles to really talk myself back into wanting to complete the race. I sort of just took in more fluids. I lost, the coat that I was wearing. I dropped it off at the car. So, I felt cooler, which was good, but I was still having anxiety and I was still worried about, if I was going to be able to complete the race. Listening to music helped a lot. I listened to really high energy electronic music. That sort of got me going, but the breaking point, and I say breaking point because it took me getting angry, and I even let out sort of an internal scream, not so much internal because it was vocalized to an extent, where basically I was telling myself, Brian, are you really this, are you really going to lay down and just, are you going to lose? Are you going to lose this opportunity? Are you going to quit? Are you going to squander the opportunity to complete your first marathon that you've worked so hard for? Are you really going to be a wimp? Long story short, it took getting mad at myself to propel myself. In a weird sort of, irony, it took really getting mad at myself and grilling myself and that high energy moment to inevitably propel me forward, to sort of quiet myself thereafter and to just do the race. Move one foot in front of the other. A very simple process. A process of losing by which pain is inevitable. You're going to feel the physical pain, the mental stress. You're going to question your sanity. You're going to question if it's really worth it. But all the while, all you have to do is move one foot in front of the other. Although that's not as simple as it sounds. But no, I kept going, and I actually started feeling a little bit better after that. I moved at a better pace. I was taking in the right fluids. I was keeping my, the electrolytes in my system, refueling myself. And I would say from about mile 10 to about pretty much the end of the race, I was in a better state. Now, towards the end, I started having more doubt, and this is all the while, like I said, beautiful landscape. We're running across bridges that are overlooking, nice little beach areas and swampland, beautiful, architecture, cool people, everybody's supportive, but, this is very much an internal battle and a process by which, Brian had to take control and I had to overcome any negativity that came my way, whether it was created by me or a manifestation of something outside of myself, that frankly I can't control anything but myself. So my attitude had to change. Moving forward around mile 23, 24, you think you're so close, you're like within arm's reach of completing the marathon. I begin to doubt myself again. It's getting really hot. to me anyway. Nobody else seemed to be getting that hot, but like I said, I get hot easily. I was dealing with this. I was saying, this is painful. I don't want to keep going. This is stupid. But all the while, I just keep moving. I find something to distract me. I get into conversation about anything and everything with whoever I can. And I just keep moving. And eventually it pays off. Eventually you're there. And that's the moment. And that's the destination. And that's the product. And I completed 26.2 miles, my first marathon. It's not that simple as my little closing speech there, because, the amount of energy running through me, the emotional sort of feeling that was constantly moving, and the ebb and flow and the variations of, happy and, happy positivity and, soul-crushing negativity and wanting to quit and give up. There was, a flux of emotion, a spiritual presence, and that I felt sort of a shadow move through me at one point. A physical battle. My legs were hurting. My arms were hurting. My head was hurting. It was just a lot of things going on. But the simple track of one foot in front of the other stood. And that's what I did. And I made it. And it's a liberating feeling. And the marathon is one of the most memorable, enjoyable, but yet painful, and confusing and emotional experiences I've ever, encountered. And I will never regret my first marathon. And I had a great time. I didn't feel the greatest after. My time wasn't great. I didn't really care about the time. The journey was the point. But I made it, and that is my marathon story. A story of struggle and pain and at times negativity, and also gaining the mindset and emotionally charging myself to keep moving forward and overcome, the struggle that was before me in completing this distance. This was a great experience, and I am so thankful that I could have this experience. I thank Jekyll Island Marathon for hosting the event and giving me the opportunity to live out my marathon dream. Thank you guys for tuning in to Soul Speak Visions. Peace, my friends.